I was asked by Reverend James maybe a couple months ago, maybe a month ago, to come speak today for Father's Day, which I can't tell you what an honor that is. And then we actually flew in. We went on a trip, and then we flew in yesterday, and we're honored to be with Kevin last night. And then actually we slept in Nora's room last night and this morning, and felt her energy and saw pictures and just held that space. And then this morning, I think for a minute, we forgot about it, right? We forgot what the truth was. And we had a moment of offness in just different ways to raise Vivi. I think we forgot it was Father's Day. We forgot all the great excuses we could have pulled up to not get in a disagreement for a second. But there was just a moment where we each have a different past and had a different way discussing, should Vivi watch TV, right? And of course, we both have different backgrounds, and we have different backgrounds, we have different belief systems. So a moment of a disagreement happened for a second. Not bad, just a discussion happened. And we started doing this work, and there was a little bit of trying to figure it out. And then just this realizing that Christy, who I checked with her if I could share this, had realized that in her childhood, her mom put her in front of the TV as a way maybe to not be with her. And in my childhood, I bonded with my parents with TV. In fact, that was the most present I could get my parents was through a movie or something, right? Like they finally aren't distracted. We finally are all together. For me, watching a movie is when my dad looks at me and we have a moment and we laugh. Like I can tell you anything about who's in every single 80s movie because that's what I was raised on. And Christy had this other amazing way of being raised that showed her that TV meant maybe being ignored. And so those characters came up as truths for a second. And every time there's a disagreement in anything, I know, and sometimes we forget, but I know that there's a truth under it that wants to be seen. Every time even you ask, how do I do this? You're implying that there's a wrong way. You're implying that you could get hurt if you do it wrong. Anytime you ask a question that implies fixing, you're saying you're in danger. Like there's so many little things we don't realize we're declaring. And Christy and I both suddenly held a space, and I realized Nora's presence held the space for us to be healed. And true love lets ego act out for a second. The presence of Nora was in that room, holding space for our egos to play characters and come up with wanting to be seen because we aren't seeing ourselves. And this energy of love is available in all of us. It's this space that's here right now. This space, even though I get to be on stage and have a microphone, I'm telling you, the star of our lives is this space. It's just the truth, and if we really listen to it, we get to hear all of the characters, all of the little, I think this, or I'm scared that this, or I'm fixing this, or what I think is this. And if you really just keep listening to the space, it lets those fears come up. And once those fears come up, they're seen. And once they're seen, they no longer need to be acted out. And every single disagreement, every single fear is an opportunity to be seen. Every single trigger that shows up in us is this opportunity for us to see ourselves. See, most of us think, well, we have a trigger. Our job is to stop everyone else from triggering us. We go up to people and go, just so you know, the way you're eating, it reminds me of my dad, how we ate when he was a kid. So if you could not chew that way, that'd be great. I need everyone to revolve around my trigger so that I don't have to be reminded of that. That's called narcissism, ladies and gentlemen. That's what narcissism is. I need the world to revolve around how I don't have to face my stuff. But you have this opportunity every single time you feel triggered, every single time you feel off, every single time you feel scared, to go deeper and just go, why do I think this should be different? And I not only think that that happens with our partners and our friends and our parents and our kids, It happens with everything in the world, like everything going on in the world. This sounds kind of crazy, but there's so many things going on in the world that we want to change. But first we should look at the trigger in us that says something should be different. I'm not saying those things shouldn't be changed, but we can't change it until we look at the trigger, because we're at the same level of consciousness as the problem. We're at the same resistance. It's resisting resistance, and that's going against other resistance. So if you want to shift things going on in the world, you actually can see how you have to shift yourself by bringing a new level of love to the trigger that's under it. And that's the space that is held for us. That's the space that's held by people that have transcended. That's the space that's held by people that have transitioned. That's the space held by my mom, who passed away 6 weeks before Vivi was born. My mom's number one goal was to be a grandma for the last 40 years. And right before Vivi's born, my mom passed away. And that was when I had to live something that I've been teaching people for years. And that's that nobody has ever broken your heart, but they've broken your expectations. And by breaking your expectations, they got you closer to your heart. See, I had this plan that I was going to enjoy Vivi with the presence of my mom physically there. And when my mom passed away, the part of me that wanted my mom's approval also died. The part of me that was needy and wanted mom to see me suddenly had no character to keep it alive. And because my mom passed away when she passed away, I got to cry that part of me out and become a stronger father for Vivi. I got to be stronger. Now, of course, I would rather my mom be physically here, but what I'm saying is we don't know the whole story. And our ego is just something that thinks that it sees the whole story. It thinks that the way that the world is should change to match the thing that we can't see. But if we instead just hold a space for what in me, yeah, baby, what in me thinks that you should change? Now, I'm not saying we don't change. People think, so sit under the tree for the rest of my life. No, you'll sit under the tree and then you'll see something. Then you'll cry that thing out. When you cry that thing out, that's the release. She's doing it to show you. That's the release. That's the release of what you were to make room for what you are. Every time you cry, you think you're crying about the circumstance, but you're actually saying goodbye to what you were to make room for more of what you are. You think you're sad because you miss your ex, but you're actually saying goodbye to the part of you that was with that ex. You're saying goodbye to what you were because what you actually are, from doing more and more work, I'm actually finding it tangibly provable. What you actually are, what I'm discovering we actually are, is this space. Think about it. You're the space. How many times have you believed something for sure, and then you believed something else, but you existed through both of them? Doesn't that mean you're not your beliefs? How could you believe one thing fully and then later believe something completely the opposite and still exist through both of it? That means you're not your beliefs. So everything you believe right now might not be true. Even the belief, so I'm not my beliefs is a belief, so I'm just sitting here like, I don't know what's going on. There's no way you're your body, because it changes. Your body was at one time a 5-year-old. I'm watching her body change rapidly. I had a little kid's body, then I had a big body, then it got chubby, then it got skinny, then it got chubby again and skinny. Now I've got all portions. I got a little buff, a little bit of fat, and no legs. I got all parts of the body here. You look at this and go, what does he do at the gym? Just the upper, and then eat a donut and nothing here, and then like he can't squat anything. His pants are full out. Here's my butt. Like you can't, what is this? So there's no way that I'm my body because I can change it. So what are you sure that you are? Are you sure that who you are as a mother, and that's who you are? Are you sure that who you are as a father, is that who you are? Maybe. Or maybe those are clothes we wear and you're just this moment. And your infinite possibility, your infinite change, your infinite love. Yeah, but my nervous system says that I'm this. Yeah, that's your nervous system. It just hasn't got to move based on what you know is true yet. That's why when you say yes to that thing that excites you, calms you, and scares you at the same time, that's the excitement of it moving forward, the peace that you're moving into the oneness of what you are, and the fear of the old story leaving. The fear of the old story that says, so I'm about to go. Everything when you meditate and you listen to silence, everything that comes up is coming up because it's leaving. Everything, people meditate and they go, this thing's coming up for me. I'm trying to don't figure out anything. Just let it come up. It's leaving. It's leaving. You're seeing it because it's on its way out. You don't try to figure out every time you go to the bathroom what that came from. You're not saying, what does this mean? My grandpa went to the bathroom like this. Maybe that, no, you don't have to go to a therapist and show him it for 8 years. You just, you're the space that it's coming from. See, most people think they're the stuff in you're the butt. You're the space that it's coming out of. But if you had never gone to the bathroom for 40 years, the first time would be really scary, wouldn't it? That's what feeling is. And some people were taught not to feel. So that first time we're in fear that we're the belief that's leaving. You know, if you go to a dentist and they pull out the old filling that no longer serves you, you're going to see it on the way out. But could you imagine how much harder it'd be for the dentist to get rid of it if on the way out you went, what does this mean? What do I do with this? It's like, can you just I'm throwing it out. It's on the way out. So everything that I find that comes up for me in my meditation is not me. It's just leaving. And it's leaving because it's seen by the space of what you are. In fact, the only thing that kept it there was your resistance to it, because you had more to learn. It had kept coming up because you kept running from it, and that doesn't make it not true. So if we sit in meditation and hold space for everything that comes up, you don't have to find what needs to come up, you don't have to fix what's coming up, you don't have to do anything with it. This space is like a surgeon. If you make yourself receptive and you open your heart and you listen, it's going to remove the parts of you that no longer serve you. And you will feel a deeper connection than you've ever felt. And from that space, you'll see the love in all the chaos that's going on outside. And then those things going on outside won't trigger you. And then when they don't trigger you, they'll be seen. Then they'll want to make the change because you're showing them the thing that they couldn't see that caused them to do all the controlling, dangerous things in the first place. So we're here to connect to this space. And I've been so lucky, and Christy and Vivian and I were so lucky to be able to do it in Nora's presence last night. And then to forget for a minute we were in that presence and like feel embarrassed for a minute and sad, and then realize that's what true love does. The space says, ego, you get to even be under the illusion that you have a problem. You get to be under the illusion that you're not loved. That's how cool love is. It gets to give you the game of thinking that you're not loved for a minute, that you're not enough. That's a game we get to play on this planet for a second. And then we just listen to the space and have this amazing place, and Reverend James and Kevin and these amazing people holding space to remind us what's true. That's why we have to be here, and we have to do things like go to nature. Nature moves in the way that is offering us an opportunity to move that same way. If you think about a tree, it just sprouts, creates, gives its gift, and dies. The societal human thinks it's here to hoard, thinks it's here to not create, thinks it's here to protect and stop things from leaving that are supposed to leave inside of us. Right? Then there's the universal human, and that's what I believe the conscious is trying to shift us into. The universal human. Someone that's not about hoarding because you have enough already in you. An apple tree comes, it goes, boom, I'm giving these to you. You take what you want, we give more. The universal human, just moving from a space of giving, is not invested emotionally in what you're doing to the other trees. When the other trees are getting cut down, it gives its gift bigger. It goes, I'm going to love even bigger right now. I'm going to keep going. Versus going, we got to change these trees. It goes, no, I'm going to hold space for what's real. And my shift in my life has been to discover that we have this opportunity to connect with what's real. This space right here is real. The fact that you're having thoughts or fears right now is real. I always do these talks, and when I leave, people always go, that's great, Kyle, but what about the real world? They always go, I don't know what my time is, a couple more minutes? Yeah, people always say, but time's not real, so we're going till Thursday. So, but people always say when I'm done with talks, and I know, Kevin, you've experienced this, and I know so many people that have lived this hear this, that's great and all, which just means it's not great. But what about the real world? And I go, what's the real world? And they go, that's when I leave here and I go back to my house and I sit on my couch and I realize, yeah, and then you fantasize about how everything's going to fall apart? You mean you sit at home and you come up with all the ways that you're going to go broke, the world's going to fall apart, the politicians are going to ruin the planet, how your mind comes up with all the horrifying scenarios that some of them aren't even happening, most of them aren't even happening. What you define as the real world is actually a little bit delusional. Because what's really happening right now? Something's beating our heart. Right now. And while we fantasize about how the world's going to fall apart, that thing's still beating your heart. Can you feel it? And that thing beating your heart doesn't care how much money you have or don't have. It doesn't care what they said about you. It doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care about everything you've decided that you have a right to not forgive yourself for, which in itself is the most narcissistic thing ever, to think you decide when you forgive something. You're forgiven. Now you're just playing a game. This space doesn't care about any of that. It just is love. So I want to show you guys one quick thing. Think of something that you've been scared of lately, and we're going to do it one last time because we're going to hear what the truth is about this. Think about something you've been scared of. I'm worried I'll go broke. I'm worried they won't like me. I'm worried I'll lose my job. I'm worried that, think about something that you commonly worry about. And I'm just going to ask you real quick if you can tell me where in your body, when you think about that thing that you're worried about, where in your body do you feel it? Anyone have a shoulders? Head? Knees and toes? Yeah. Chest? Excellent. Throat. Now I want to point out, I know there might be a couple of stomachs in there, but isn't it interesting how almost everyone said something above the chest? Because when you're in your head, you don't know that you have a body. We're in our head because we're worried about what will happen on the outside. And when we do that, we abuse our body. We overeat, we drink, we do these different things. We stress, bring all these stress because we forget that this thing is here to connect to. So when we worry, you're in your head because you forget about your connection to the body. Your desire for connection is outside of you. Right? I will be broke. I won't be loved. You might notice that some of the worries, if you really research, aren't even about the key worry. Like you might be worried you're going to go broke, to give an example. A lot of people worry about money. That's why I use that as an example. But really it's that dad said you're not enough if you go broke or something like that. So it's I won't be loved by dad is much more likely the worry. Something like that. But now I want to offer you this. There's a space that's beating your heart. Feel it right now. And what I want to offer you is the opportunity to feel the space that's beating your heart and tell it internally about the thing you're worried about and actually listen to your heart's response to it. Like inside, I'm worried that they won't like me. I'm worried that it'll fall apart. We'll lose the house. And then, or even something huge. I'm worried I'll get sick. I'm worried that whatever. And watch as the heart answers it with a silence and maybe even some words. And if you think something like, I don't know if I'm doing it right, tell that to the thing beating your heart. And listen to what it says. Whatever you got as a resistance or a fear, tell that to the heart and experience what it says back. And now check out the fact that the same thing beating your heart is beating mine, so we're all connected. Everyone in the room is connected. And even to the people we've experienced the belief that we've lost, we hold space and feel that energy beating our hearts. We're still connected to them. Does anyone have a thing that it said? Did it give? Yes? Listen to me and I will never lead you astray. Even the belief there's an astray is fascinating, isn't it? There's an astray. Oh, we just get to go off course for a second, but that's perfect. That's amazing. Who else had one? Yes? That's impossible? Oh, like the bad thing that you're worried about? Excellent. Yeah, it was like some judgmental heart. That's impossible. You're not that great. Okay. Yeah. Hi. Everything will be okay. Awesome. Isn't that interesting? You did that in 30 seconds of listening to your heart, whatever it was. You know, you can listen to a song in 4 to 5 minutes. This thing is right here. We have to do a lot of work to ignore this. You have to do a lot of iPhone. You have to do a lot of CNN to ignore this thing. This place is a place I love to call deep down. Because everyone, when they have a problem, they always kind of say the sentence in a passing way. Deep down, I know everything's going to be okay. But here's the big problem I want to complain about all the time. Right? Look, they're talking crap about me. They're saying all this stuff. Deep down, I know everything's fine. But I'm really mad about the thing. And we make deep down this place that we like it's this summer home that we're looking in the window. And then we go back and live in this studio apartment with 7 billion other people called Stressville. And every once in a while, yeah, deep down is fine. But what if you made deep down the place you live in? What if you actually did some inner work, listen to silence for a while, because I started meditating 2 hours a day for the last 4 years. I've definitely missed some days now. But overall, I've done quite a bit of days, 4 years of listening to silence for 2 hours a day. So deep down is just my home. And I don't say anymore, deep down I know everything's going to be okay. Much more frequently, I say, everything's fine. And the passing sentence is the problem. So you're at like 95%, everything's fine, and every once in a while the little worry comes by and then leaves. If we want to create a shift on this planet, if we want to be better parents, if we want to be better friends and partners, the world is asking us to not just change our circumstances while living out of deep down. It goes deep down's the new home. Not the illusion of security, not the belief that you have enough money or your relationships are locked solid so everything's perfect. This relationship with deep down. And you don't even say deep down anymore. You just become that Mr. Rogers, Oprah, that knowing. You don't even say words like faith that much. It's a knowing, right? You say faith, but it really is knowing. Because I don't have faith that if I let go of this wallet, it's going to land. I'm not going to try and believe that I know what'll happen because I have enough evidence. And eventually this deep down space will wall to wall give you evidence that you're fine. And it just becomes a knowing. Doesn't that feel good? So my dare to you is this is empty. That's how I know so much about being broke. But my dare to you is to bring a new world in by creating a new world with yourself. That's how we can all be, and I mean this all be, incredible fathers on Father's Day. You know it's Father's Day because the room's almost all women. All the men are like, I'm going to stay home. It's Father's Day. I'm not going to church. It's an honor to be here, and I want to say to Kevin, Happy Father's Day. From a father to a father who loves you and feels your heart so big and is so honored to be with you and Reverend James, and such an honor to be with all of you. Happy Father's Day to all of you. Please, please, please don't just take this talk and hear it and feel mentally good enough and then go back to getting in your head. This can be an addiction to distract you, or it can be the access point to you becoming the work. You aren't going to believe how everything you're worried about will take care of himself. All your financial security, all your relationship security, all your health, everything is in this place. Everything. So why don't we take one more second to breathe in, release it. Feel this thing that's beating our heart. Feel the energy of everyone in here, whether they're physically here or not physically in the body. Feeling Nora, feeling my mom, feeling Vivi, feeling all of you and your relatives. This is truth. This is the real world. Welcome to the real world. Let's see what it wants to do with the rest of the planet. It's an honor to be with you. Thank you for having me this morning. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Love you.
Our good friend Kyle Cease.
Thank you.
Hang on 1 second. He's brilliant, isn't he? He's really fantastic. Just amazing. I want to let everyone know then this brilliant man has a brand new book coming out shortly with Hay House. So it's important to help promote this brilliant teaching. Go ahead.
Well,
please.
I did the math. There's 200 people in here, something like that?
Sure.
So if each of you buy, this is crazy, each of you buy 1,000, like easy bestseller.
Done.
So
exactly.
yeah,
New York Times, get out of the way.
Yeah,
Here we
exactly.
go. But tell us the name and when the publishing date is.
So the book is called The Illusion of Money: Why Chasing Money is Stopping You from Receiving It. And it, of course, is much more about you, but we all think about money so frequently that I feel like that's a good Trojan horse to getting a lot of the public to go, how do I this and that, and then learn about their heart, do the inner work, and accidentally they might, as a side benefit, make a bunch of money. But
fantastic.
And then we're going to donate it and do things with it.
And that's right.
Yeah,
that energy of money coming back.
Yeah.
And when is it coming out with Hay House?
It comes out September 3rd. You can pre-order it now.
Fantastic.
And it'll be in bookstores everywhere. And it's my second book, actually.
Your second book. That's right. I'm sorry. And your first book which is obviously already out.
Yeah, it's called I Hope. The first one is that was a New York Times bestseller. Yeah. And it's called I Hope I Screwed This Up: Why Falling in Love with Your Fears. What's my book called? Why Falling in Love with Your Fears Will Change the World. Something like that. I hope I screwed this up.
It's online.
I don't know my work. I don't know what I did. What's your name? So,
me? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, so that's awesome too.
It is, he is a brilliant man and speaks again around the world. So thank you so much
thank you
for your time, your talent, and your treasure.
Love you, buddy. Happy Father's Day.